Stars and Stripes, the podcast, at gmail.com for all inquiries. Alright, so today in the studio,
What's up, everybody? How are you? I'm back.
How's everyone?
Nick's back.
Yeah, everyone, I
been
do want to
absent.
apologize. I know last week I promised off air that I was going to start my own podcast, but believe it or not, things went downhill after I promised that. I hired someone to speak to the dead. Turns out the guy was a real weirdo. Thank God I got rid of him quick. And then my camera went to
crazy.
yeah, my camera went to shit. But thank God they hired me back
And today
for
in the
half the rate. But I'm doing it.
You don't want to hear that story either.
Today in the studio we have Robert. How are you, man?
Hello,
It's
how's
good
everything?
to see you. Haven't seen you in a while.
I know, it's been a very long time.
I feel like we haven't gotten to discuss things, so we'll just start off with your views on this election.
My views on this election. I definitely have the same sentiment that many people have in this election, and that is, it's a complete freaking train mess. It is an absolute train mess. A train
It's a
crash.
free-for-all.
Yeah, it's completely messed up. Even from the start of the primaries all the way until this between Trump and Clinton, it's been an embarrassment actually, and it's like it really is. Like usually, I try to be very proud, of how our political process is the best, and this is literally the worst.
So you were a
it's ever
big
been.
supporter of democracy up until this point, you would say?
I'm always a supporter of democracy, but not in the same sense that everyone else thinks what
Right.
democracy is.
You don't agree with the two-party system, right?
Not even just specifically the two-party system, but almost like the 51% kind of way how democracy works.
Right,
I do
right.
believe in equal representation. But
See, I know you're very well versed in government and how it works and stuff like that. So, can you just my question is, why wasn't Gary Johnson allowed in the debate?
So the way that the debate works is that it's not run by the government; it is run by a private organization. And many people try to say it's nonpartisan, but it's actually bipartisan in the sense that it's made up of Republicans and Democrats. The Committee on Presidential Debates have certain guidelines that they use to protect their party's power. And that is by saying who can go on the debates for everyone to see nationally, where it has tens of millions of viewers.
So basically, the debates are owned privately?
Yes,
For profit.
they're. I don't know exactly if it's for profit, but I know the committee is not an elected. It's not elected. It's
well,
not.
I
It's
believe
not.
actually
It's,
this may be a conspiracy, but we'll have to have Vinny, the conspiracy theorist, look into it. But I believe at the Bohemian Grove they make it rain on the past presidents with the money that they make off the debates. It's for profit.
Have you ever heard of Bohemian Grove?
well, okay, no.
Fact check me on that.
He doesn't
Fact
know
check.
Bohemian Grove. That's it. We'll talk about that. I talked
Okay.
about that on the last podcast. Check out the last podcast.
No, but I can actually kind of give some validity to that because the way these nonpartisan organizations work, which are controlled by Democrats, Republicans, is that they do get money. They obviously have money, whether it's donated or they're paid for something.
Yeah.
These people give money to these presidential candidates.
Oh, without
also.
a doubt.
And that's also a part of the whole, the problem with the two-party system. But, back to the debates, they set these guidelines, and one of them was it relies on polls. And it's 15, you have to have 15% or more in 5 polls that they choose on average. So that's the issue that, the third parties don't get enough exposure.
I've never been called for a poll. Who are they polling here?
I've never been called either. What?
Ken Bone, dog. They're polling. They're polling Ken
calling
Bone.
guys like Ken Bone.
Ken Bone is probably an average American, so they could be.
That's
But
your average American, bro. You
But
see
how-
the shady shit he does?
Just that name alone,
it's an
Yeah,
average
Ken Bone.
That's who really lives in Iowa. The most polling organizations use landlines.
Okay.
Who owns a landline?
Right. Everybody's on cell phones these days.
I don't have a landline.
Or
in my house.
Skype.
My mom does not have a landline. The only
Right.
one that has a landline is my grandmother.
Wow.
My grandma is the only one that. So they're not asking a proper sampling of the electorate,
Right,
no matter
that's what I
how
was
much they
getting
want
at.
to say. So you're not going to get young people in this polling. You're not.
Right. That's the problem, because the young people are the most passionate about it. If you see on Facebook, everybody's a political scientist these days. I mean, it's crazy. But all right, so
I know a guy.
Go ahead.
I know a guy. I'm not going to name names. VD. But he doesn't know a thing about politics. Let's not name names here. But this guy doesn't know a thing. He lives in Myrtle Beach now. Freaking idiot.
He's a damn hippie.
Yeah, he's a damn hippie. But other than that,
so you're just saying
let's
he just spouts off his opinions.
Yeah, he just spouts
That's what
off
it is.
his
No one's a
opinions,
political
yeah.
scientist. I'm not a political scientist. I know.
Whoa.
I know.
I advertised this as you were a political scientist.
Well, I mean, I feel like I am
I know you're very knowledgeable.
very
about it.
knowledgeable. I would say I'm more than that.
So-
VD's a good
but-
guy. I mean, they say he could bench 250. I've never seen it. But,
So now you would say that you mostly relate to the Libertarian Party?
That's a yes and a no. Yeah, if you want to say just libertarian with a small L, yes. Libertarian Party, not necessarily. Because I'm a registered Republican, and I do believe in a core Republican value that is not there anymore, but it is in some politicians and some parts of the party.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a small. I support the Libertarian Party this election.
So you're very
Yes.
knowledgeable in libertarianism, right? I just want to
Yes,
ask you
absolutely,
a few
absolutely.
different, because I'm not very well versed in it. Like, I like Gary Johnson. I mean, I'm not even registered to vote because I'm an anarchist. But
okay.
you're not registered.
So
but,
there's a good reason you like Gary Johnson over the others.
right. So now I just want to know
Why
some
don't
like
you register to
libertarian
vote?
views. The government tracks you that way. It's just another. Well, they're already tracking
What
me,
is?
but-
I don't think so. That's how they get you.
anyway. So libertarian views, like, how would a libertarian view climate change? You guys believe in that stuff?
That's a divided issue. There in libertarian philosophy, there are a lot of divided issues. In terms of, like, climate change is one of them. Abortion is another one. You have a lot of interpretations of things.
So you're a registered Republican.
I'm a
but
registered
you
Republican.
have libertarian views.
But I'm a small L libertarian. Like, I'm not a Republican. Isn't a philosophy. It's just a party. It's conservatism, which has changed. Which
Well, I
I
know
do
the
view
party
myself.
itself doesn't believe in climate change, but
That's a party position. There are Republicans that exist that believe in climate change. Like, I personally believe in climate change, and then you also have to get down to, like, what kind of climate change, whether we caused it, whether it happens naturally, whether we kind of made it more aggressive. And, like, that's where, like, a lot of the divisions fall in, like, libertarians, because a lot of them are very science-based, a lot of them are very,
I feel like burning
well,
fossil
they can be
fuels.
religious, like...
Burning fossil fuels ate out the atmosphere, and
I mean, the science is there.
more sun
Like,
rays
I don't deny science.
Right.
Like, there's clearly a trend, but, like, where I differ from, like,
new
most
science alert.
where I differ, I'm not a scientist, but where I
DJ
differ,
Khaled's in the house.
where I differ from, like, a typical liberal, you could say, where they say, oh, it's all us, like, where I think, no, this would happen anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Then it even goes even further, like, what are we going to do about climate change?
Right.
Let's acknowledge that it exists. What are we going to do about it? Libertarians are very split on that. Some say, yeah, we should, promote that, and get in terms of, like, what kind of government level it should be involved. And then other people, like even Gary Johnson has said, what's the big deal? We're going to blow up the sun in 50 million years.
Right.
So,
Wait, so you think the Earth's gonna be done in 50 million years?
Well, no, that's a fact. Like, the sun will blow up and we'll die in 50
No,
million
yeah, 50 million years is a long
yeah,
time.
obviously.
I feel like we're gonna blow ourselves up in the next
What's
4
up,
years.
Ron? You savage.
Yeah.
We're gonna blow
Yeah,
ourselves
from
up in the
nuclear
next
weapons
4
or
years.
something,
Yeah. No, but by that time, they're saying they're gonna fly to other planets and terraform.
That's another route that, like, many people, not just libertarians, take is in terms of, like, developing human colonization. Instead of just trying to fix the Earth, we should just freaking leave.
Right. That's why we need a cameraman. We're looking for an assistant here. But no, that's pretty good, I think. So you do believe in terraforming? It's possible.
Well, I don't read a lot of science, like, as
Believe in what? I'm
shameful as
sorry.
that's
I
like,
missed
No, I know.
like,
This is more about
I try to just
politics.
rely on, like, discourse without
What'd you
talking
just
to
ask?
people.
You know what terraforming is? The idea that you could fly to a planet that can't inhabit humans, but they'll have enough technology where
To
they
actually
could,
create the
yeah,
planet.
they'll create
So
an
they'll know.
atmosphere there.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll create their own atmosphere there, and then add dirt and stuff.
But like, because like I recently read maybe a few months ago where like Elon Musk, the Tesla
Yes.
guy, the Solar City
he's
guy,
like the most interesting man in the
He-
world.
was saying that we could potentially nuke the surface of Mars and then terraform that.
Really, that's
Because
really
it would like
interesting.
remove any kind of like
Oh, I see.
factors
yeah.
where- and then we
That's
could
true.
literally
I
start
haven't
from
heard about
scratch.
that one. That's amazing.
So I mean, I don't know how viable that is, but
I'm gonna have to look into
that.
that.
Actually seemed pretty interesting and maybe doable in the foreseeable future. Not in my lifetime, but
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately we won't be seeing much of this.
No,
I feel like we
absolutely
will
not.
see artificial intelligence though. Like
artificial
super-
intelligence is out there.
It's close.
But
Like
you're talking about like
where like they could just
R2D2s and
walk.
stuff,
They could
like,
walk among you and you won't even realize. You'll think it's a human.
You think
like that
androids,
advanced.
like okay, like
I
Blade
feel like
Runner.
we will see that within 30 years,
I agree.
30 to 40 years, and
I
I'll be
would
70. I'll be in my
think
70s.
I could see it where like we're old and like maybe
Yeah.
like on our way out. Like it's like
Hopefully,
our
I make
grandparents
that one.
like learning about computers, like like that.
Right.
So
It's like we'll be learning about like, oh, this is my pet robot, but
Yeah.
it's like your best friend. It looks like human. It's just fucking robot.
Yeah.
Like,
well, they
I
already
feel like-
have like creepy looking ones.
Oh,
out
you
there.
went to Comic-Con, right?
Of course I went. Yes.
Did
I'm
you
a big
see?
nerd.
Did you see like? Did they have robot shit over there?
Robot shit.
No, not really. It's not a sign. It's not
Robot
a.
shit on the street.
No one brought anything in terms of like costumes or like have like a pet robot or something like that. And it's not like a science convention, so it's like all fake stuff there.
Right.
So like no one's like building robots like, oh, look at my robot, like on display or anything. A lot of it's like virtual reality. Like with games
I love
and
virtual
stuff
reality.
like
I'm
that.
a big believer in virtual reality.
So like
The
that's
Oculus.
like another way.
Do they promote-
Instead of
That's
putting
the
something
future.
into our world, we're taking ourselves out of our world and putting ourselves into a
Yeah.
different world.
Do they
So.
promote porn stars there as well? I mean, I'm, not
At
the fact
Comic-Con?
check. Yeah, but I believe I saw that on Entourage.
I don't believe there was
Episode
anything
9.
about
You're
no
getting your
porn stars.
facts from
There-
Entourage.
It's not. They're not porn stars there. It's like there's like female sex symbols. You could say like not like
Hillary
like obviously
Clinton.
there's
Hillary
like
Clinton.
famous people like you could meet like William Shatner or something like that. But like at these like there's like these very boutique booths. Like there'll be stars from something like a YouTube channel or something like that.
What was your
Or
favorite
girls.
booth over there?
Oh man. There was a promotion for Westworld, the new show on HBO,
okay.
and it was a virtual reality thing where you literally had to sign up.
So you felt like you were
I actually
in the
have the
TV
card for
show?
it. I actually have the card for it. They gave you metal cards to go to a separate
All right, let me
location.
describe what virtual reality is in case there's any listeners that like don't know what virtual reality is. So basically, you hook up, you put a headset on, and it's completely blackening. It's like sensory deprivation. Like you don't see anything. And then a screen comes on. The best way to describe it is like the screen surrounds the whole headset. It doesn't really, but that's the best way of describing it. And then like when you look around, it's like motion based. So you literally feel like you're in another world because everywhere you look, you're in a different environment. The environment could sense where you are walking around your room, and like you interact with a whole different environment virtually. So you were inside the TV show, pretty much.
Well, I haven't started watching the TV show. I plan to, but my brother was with me and his friend also, and they both watched it, and they said it was like how the TV show is like almost like you're a part of it, not necessarily like in a script that you're like in part of the TV show where they put people.
That's awesome.
So like they took us to an off-site location. It was like creepily run by people who are supposed to be like androids because the show's about androids.
Yeah.
So,
It's basically like the Wild West
Yeah.
mixed with the future.
So it go in that like were androids there, but in this sense, and like they put you in this like separate thing. It was a whole freaking show they put on for you, and you put the VR stuff in, and you're in a room, and it's like the latest VR technology with like the sensors, and you can walk around and stuff. And it was pretty much like you were like doing the thing that the people in the show were doing, which is like a scripted thing where like you're visiting a place and they set you up for it. And so it was pretty cool. But that was like probably my favorite thing, like other than just seeing the costume and stuff like that.
Right. A lot of people
Specific thing
dress
that
up and
actually
stuff.
like was pretty wild away with everything I did. So
Yeah. Okay, back to libertarian views. How do they feel about cross-gender bathrooms?
This is not. This is another one of those like divided issues, because it's all about what role the government should be playing in it. You have a lot like like states that want to ban like transgenders using bathrooms, and then you have some that are like, oh, it's a unisex bathroom or whatever. Like that. Like ultimately, that would be the answer. It's just a one-person bathroom.
Listen, bro, if I gotta take a piss and all the stalls are taken, I'm going in any bathroom I fucking want. I don't give a shit. If I gotta go, I gotta go.
I mean, you try. I mean, if it's a one-person use bathroom, I don't know why they have a male or female symbol on there.
Right.
If it's a one-person use, I really don't. I don't. Because like if anyone should just be able to use a one-person bathroom, but I don't know why that's so funny. But
Yeah.
No, you're completely correct about that. But as far as that goes, an easier question is more like, how do they feel about medicinal cannabis?
I would say for the majority, most libertarians
Support.
would support full legalization of marijuana.
Right.
Not even just
Full
medicinal use,
legalization.
because they don't believe it's the government's role to dictate what plant you can burn.
Yeah, no, I'm very
Sucking
anti,
fumes.
I like
Like,
Dan
those
Johnson
people,
a lot.
those
honestly.
people are huffing those fumes, getting high on marijuana, just sitting on their couch all day.
But you know what? That mostly just
Anybody that smokes marijuana just gets
Oh.
high, sits on their couch all day, and it's very.
I mean,
I'm joking.
majority of the country is in favor of its
It's
legalization.
ridiculous.
not even it's not just the
Basically,
libertarian show.
I feel like you should be able to do whatever you want as long as you're not harming other people or
that is
causing
that
problems
is
for
literally
other people.
that sentence is the primary belief of libertarianism. It's
Really?
what you described. is
Sign
the-
me up.
I
Let's
thought you were
get
an
Gary
advocate.
Johnson
I thought you were an
down here.
advocate.
Can we reverse this thing and just go back to what you just said?
No, I'm a walk-in contradiction. So anyway. All right, so
We are.
about Gary Johnson, though.
Okay.
What was he, a governor?
He was the governor of New Mexico in the late 90s into the early 2000s. I couldn't really give you a date, maybe like 97 or something like that. He was a Republican. He wasn't always a Libertarian. He was a Republican up until 2012. Or 2011, I believe,
People
just before
switch
the
parties
election.
like crazy.
Yeah.
Of course they do, yeah. But it was a noticeable shift.
Yeah.
So he was a governor of New Mexico, Republican governor, in a 2-to-1 Democratic majority, and he served 2 terms. So he was reelected. So you can't really say that he wasn't a successful governor, even if you look at his record. Like he really did turn New Mexico around. I mean, granted, it's a small state and stuff like that, so you can call that an experiment. You could say that's the experiment for what he wants to do in the federal government.
Right. No, I support that, definitely. So he became a governor now. I know you're very well versed in government. How can you move up? Like, how do you get involved in politics? How do you become a governor?
You become a governor. If I'm not mistaken, he was just a businessman who ran for office. I mean, anyone can look at Trump. He's running for president, and he was never anything.
Mm-hmm.
He was a businessman. Most politicians like
So you
Hillary
need to have
Clinton-
money, you think?
I would think so. I would think you need to have some sort of financial backing. If you don't
Or a
have
foundation.
or you don't have, or if a party machine behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Most politicians just have their party take care of their election, whereas an independent person has to rely on themselves and any kind of donation they can get.
Mm-hmm.
So,
You
but
have
like
crew. That's
so,
part
yeah,
of it.
essentially, it's 2 ways to get to it, and one is through the government, or another way is to kind of skip the line and jump right in.
Right. So it is possible to get involved at like a local level. And
At a local level is
is
probably the easiest way to get involved.
Really?
It's the people you know. So, like, I would think it's easier to win an
Have
election.
you yourself ever wanted to get involved in local politics?
I did. About 3 years ago, I ran for school board. I don't know if you would remember that.
Oh, I do. I think I voted for you, actually.
You think? I ran for school board. I
Oh, wait, I'm not registered to vote.
I had literally...
I supported you publicly,
Dude, leave
but
back.
since I'm not registered...
It's okay. One vote wouldn't matter. I only lost by just under 300 votes, but I did run. I was a 21 during the campaign and turned 22 on election day.
How many people voted in that local election?
It was a very large turnout, and I believe it was 2,800
Okay.
2,800 people.
Right. That's pretty good.
I think in the
For
last
a
vote we
local
just had,
election.
it was a local election.
Yeah.
The last one we just had, I think 900 people voted.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
So you were going to war out there.
Well, yeah, I generated a lot of interest because I was a 21-year-old. I literally had just gotten out of college, and I was like, let me run for something and do something. You know?
And now local
Kudos to that, man.
Yeah.
local politics goes. They just count vote for vote, correct?
Yes,
Like,
so
well, majority wins.
It's yeah, essentially, but like, you know, in terms of like how you run is different. Like,
Right.
you know, you pick seats
Okay,
that you run
so
for. So
then-
it's not just like an open whoever gets the
Okay,
votes.
so in
Yeah.
local politics, every vote counts. Now my question
Yeah,
is
there's no electoral college.
Yeah.
In that sense, yeah.
exactly. So now why, when we get to the big stage, is there an electoral college?
It is a constitutional measure taken by the founding fathers to essentially prevent a tyranny of the majority, in the sense that you know how presidents have won the popular vote by winning more than 51%, but they haven't won the election because they didn't win the electorate. The way the electoral college works is that it essentially evens it out even more from the popular vote, so as to protect the interests of people in different states. Like you have, if you just went by a popular vote, I just read this argument, and it was by Ron Paul, and he actually defends the electoral college, and I didn't until I read this. The way the electoral college protects the individual states as opposed to the individual person. If you ran just on the popular vote, you would literally only need to court 3 states or 4 states, the West Coast and the Northeast. Like, you get New York, you take those states, because
You
they
win
have
the
the
election.
largest. They have the largest population. That's all you need to do. You need to win the largest population. Whereas it kind of detracts away from someone living in Utah, whereas like their vote really isn't going to matter because
That state's probably been the same for like 5 elections, right? They're not
God knows, probably
more.
more. Yeah, probably more.
Probably
I mean,
more.
yeah, there's very few states
Right.
that really change. But
So now the electoral college. Do you know how? What do they look at in the voting of the population within the state?
well, how it
How do they
happens?
determine which
It's
way they're going?
There's electors that, you know, when we go to the voting booths and we vote for president, there are a set amount of electors for each state. That, you know, I think New York has 29, so there's 29
Depending on
electors.
the population, right?
The way it
Right.
works
The
is
bigger the population,
the more electors you get. So the way it works is that when you go to you are essentially electing an elector who says, I will vote for this person. I know some of the rules are different in some of the states, and in difference from the primaries and the general election, where that they don't always have to vote the way you
See,
you
these
voted
guys
for.
are the people that are actually deciding
Yes.
who wins.
Yes.
Now, do you think these people are paid off by? Do they get influenced by big corporations giving them money?
That's tough to say because unless they go against what
Like
they're
lobbyists?
saying, lobbyists, I don't think necessarily would work with electors because the electors are literally translating their vote. Like, there's
Okay.
very few instances where they don't translate their vote.
Lobbyists just deal with policy.
So it would be after the fact. If you're not electing, if someone gets elected, what's going on?
Alex, we should abolish the electoral college. That's what I'm getting at here. But no, that's what I'm saying. Do you think this system is working? Is it really representing the public?
I think it should. The problem is with most states. I think besides like 2, it's winner takes all. So that's the problem. Like, if you look at a map of New York, most of it is red.
Okay, so say you said earlier New York has 29 electors.
Yes, I believe, yes.
So the majority of those electors, that's the way it swings? Like, it's 16 go Republican?
Yeah, essentially. Well, I believe that's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying it's very minute in terms of how else it would work.
Right.
It's that the because I don't know if it's split up by district or
Right, I see
I'm
what you're saying.
not exactly sure about that, but if most of the people essentially elect it, but like what happened was if it's cut up by districts or whatever like that in terms of that, the upstate electoral votes would go to Republicans, whereas Long Island, maybe not some of Long Island, but New York City, all the urban areas in upstate would go to Democrats. So that state would essentially be split. Like, there would be Republican electoral votes and Democrat electoral votes. Or
there's a lot of Trump supporters on Long Island.
That's what I'm saying. Long Island I don't know about anymore. But, or like, even third-party electoral votes. Like, there is definitely, my friend told me there's a county up by Cornell, he went to school,
right,
that if just looking at it separately could, like, essentially win the majority for a Green candidate. Like that one specific county.
In this election, a Green Party can possibly win.
Well, I mean, I don't know necessarily. It could be a congressperson. It could be just that county winning the senator. That county, like, that senator won that county. But yeah, so like that's the problem, is it's not proportional. It's winner takes all with the states. That's your problem with the Electoral College. It should be proportional, because then it's a compromise.
Okay, so you're right. So say there's 29 electors, but they decide it's going, say, Democrat. I'm just throwing it out there. So now that state's Democrat. It just, state by state, how does that work? Like, how do they decide overall who wins?
Well, it's in terms of electoral votes.
Right, because now the whole state's Democratic, right? So now say they just count, well, like,
you're saying
Democratic
winner take all.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
so like the Democrats won a majority there. It's
right.
their state.
So if Democrats win the majority of the states within the United States, they win the election.
It's not a majority of states. It's the majority of the electoral votes, because each state has different ones. Each state has different values. Like California has the most. So like Democrats usually win, like California, New York. Those are the top, like, and Texas are the top three. Republicans
because they have the biggest population.
So yeah, so there's like 30 something in California. I think 30 or maybe 30 something in Texas, and like 29 in New York. So the idea is you have to get 270 is the number. Out of all the electoral votes, 270 is the majority.
See, what I feel like would be an easier solution is we're all American citizens. We have Social Security numbers.
We purge?
No.
No. Are we?
We
all have Social Security numbers?
Well, hopefully the legal ones have a Social Security number. What I'm getting down to is you should just vote your Social Security number, you vote, and then you vote into a system that's online. You still go to a place, but it's highly secure, and everybody's vote, say you vote Republican, I vote Democrat, he votes Republican, that'd be 2 Republican votes, 1 Democratic vote. But now, you just take this on a broader scale. You have all the parties in, Gary Johnson would be possible, and then it's literally, they just count, so it's in a database, everyone's Social Security numbers, who they voted for, and then the literal winner becomes president. Don't you think that would be such a better idea than going through all this bullshit where, like, you have electors reflecting the vote? It just seems sketchy to me.
Another reason why there is an electoral college is that the common person's an idiot. I said that. The common person is an idiot. They're an idiot. Like, the average American is an idiot.
Whoa.
From both political
allegedly.
And Republicans and Democrats and
thank God we're all college educated here.
Every walk of life, there's people are idiots, politically at least.
Okay, so that's why they feel like that. It can't literally be the majority.
Like, it's an idea to protect it from the idiot masses. Like,
okay, so you're saying
like back then it was the poor farmers. Like, let's not let them
that
decide.
Statement, does that prove that the electors aren't straight up representing the people?
No, I believe they are.
Yeah.
That's their purpose. That's what the whole point of them being electors is to.
How do you become an elector?
I believe it's through the parties. I would imagine.
You grow a mustache and you get a landline. I think that's the best way to become an elector.
I'm not really sure. These people are selected from like the state government and like back in the day we used to have legislators vote for what's going on.
Someone shout out Gucci Man.
We used to,
next week he'll be
up until the 16th Amendment, I think, was the direct election of U.S. senators. We never used to elect senators.
Right.
We used to elect people to our state government, and those state governments were the ones who elected our senators.
Mhm.
It would be done by the legislature, not by us.
You just brought up the amendments, which is good because I want to speak to you about the Second Amendment.
Okay.
What's like the general libertarian view on gun laws?
There's very extremes where people like, let's hand out rocket launchers. Like there are people who believe that. No, I don't believe that. But
No.
and then, you have
The audio people won't know. Go ahead.
and then you have people. There's not a lot of libertarians who believe in gun control in the sense that guns
So they
should be
believe
banned.
you're allowed to have them.
They, in a general
to
sense, like,
protect
even
yourself.
like the automatic weapons, like because they view the Second Amendment almost in the literal sense that what's the purpose of the Second Amendment?
Yeah.
It's to fight against tyrannical government, not go.
We're
hunting.
obviously big believers. It's in our logo.
Yeah, well, but it's shooting out fireworks, so it's metaphorical. No, but I do agree that, like, you know, the Second Amendment's made.
I'm looking at the whiskey, like you're drinking whiskey while shooting a gun. Like that's not. Good.
Oh, that's what I did in Texas.
Oh my god.
But Second Amendment's made for if you know, a government becomes tyrannical, and you have to take them over. How are you gonna do it without an assault rifle?
And you know, there's the argument saying like, oh, that's ridiculous. Times have changed. So like, but
I
mean,
feel like
the-
times haven't changed at all.
Oh, no,
Like, we're
I-
real close to
I-
tyranny.
well, tyranny, but
Alex Jones,
Tyranny.
what up?
Tyranny shout out. No.
Infowars.com.
Where's my tinfoil?
Tom
hat?
Tyranny shout
Can I get a filter, a water filter from him? You know,
You know about the
I
water
know, I
filter?
know, freaking Alex Jones. But
I bought a bunch of those.
is that what you're drinking now? Yeah. But in terms of what were we talking about? Second
Drinking
Amendment.
water,
oh,
dog.
the point of the Second Amendment.
We're talking about
I know
the
what
Second
you're
Amendment. We have a gun in our logo.
Oh my gosh.
We got a Photoshop.
We as a people can fight the government. People like say it's such a ridiculous idea. It's not. We do have the technology to essentially fight a guerrilla war against
feel
our
like
they're
that's
not going
what
to be nuking us.
Right.
They're not going to be droning us like in our own lands. Like they can't.
Basically,
They are building FEMA camps, by the way. I was confirmed by a buddy of mine who was a Marine. He was stationed to
Where?
guard a FEMA camp in South Carolina.
What for?
To,
What are these
FEMA
FEMA camps for?
Let me
Well, that's
explain
what
to
I
my
wanna know. I'm like,
listeners.
the FEMA camps. Like, what does
A
that mean?
FEMA camp is basically where, like, if something crazy happens, like, say an asteroid hits, and, like, or, like, martial law happens, where the government's just, the military's just roaming
Rounding
the
people
streets,
up.
rounding
Rounding
people
people
up, and throwing them into camps, and, like, supposedly taking care of them in the camps. Like, these are real things that...
Wow, I am so not as paranoid as I thought I was, because I never thought of that.
FEMA camps, yeah.
That these are the internment camps that they're going to put us in to control us. Holy crap.
yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've known about
A
this
friend of
since I was
mine,
8 years
A friend
old.
of mine actually guarded one, and in the process of building, he actually dug a hole, so only he knows about it. You know how to get in and out of that specific camp
Wow.
as he was guarding it.
Wow.
He told me that too, actually,
Is
on
your friend like a
multiple,
conspiracy?
multiple
Why is
occasions.
your friend a Marine?
We can't talk about it.
Why is your-
Ex-Marine.
Ex-Marine.
Yeah.
Why?
He doesn't
Why?
fuck around. That's a real story too. Like
It's a true
I've
story.
talked to him about it on multiple occasions. But if the FEMA camps are real or not, I'm not really sure. Hold on, what were we talking about right before the
Second
FEMA
Amendment.
camps? Yeah, the Second Amendment. So you said like basically that I think that we need automatic weapons in case, you know, it does happen, martial law happens, military in the street, you gotta be able to fight back. But on a broader scale now, I feel like everything's involved with technology and just numbers and banks. So, like, the group Anonymous, they could technically, I feel like, take over the country.
You're saying almost attack the government from a different way. And
Right.
that's like through...
That's what you were saying that earlier. Attack them in a different way. So, like, what's your view on Anonymous?
I mean, they've done good. Like, you know, like with the whole, like, you know, they are fighting back in a very acceptable way.
What's that word where, like, you're, like, rogue, but you help out? Shit, I can't think
A
of it.
Jedi.
No, that's what it is. I'll think of the word later, but they're that type of group where like they're
Vigilante.
Vigilante.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Vigilante.
They're vigilante. Yeah, I would say that. And you know,
Short-term memory
They're not
loss.
hurting. They're not hurting anyone. They're not hurting anyone. WikiLeaks, just like them, like they're not hurting anyone.
Alex Nelson on the ball. That's my dude. He helped me with the word.
Vigilante. Oh, but I came up with it before.
Yeah,
so
no, you weren't looking at the
I can't
screen.
even say.
Yeah. So how do you feel about vigilantes as a libertarians? Libertarian.
Vigilante, as in a computer hacker, or vigilante as like Batman.
Right. See, that's what I'm saying. In this day and age,
I personally, I don't feel comfortable with like a Batman.
right. You
Unless,
feel more
unless they're like Superman, where it's like they're like a demigod. Like I'm not gonna fuck with that. But if it's like a guy like in a suit, like like hurting people, like I don't. Even if they're bad people, he violates the Fourth Amendment constantly.
What's the Fourth Amendment?
The search and seizure.
Oh, search and seizure.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about stop and frisk?
I hate stop and frisk.
Okay, good. Yeah,
I hate stop and frisk.
Right,
It's a violation of the Fourth Amendment. You
Yeah.
can't
just racially
you
profile
can't
the citizens.
stop anyone you want and do whatever you want, to find evidence of their wrongdoing.
Right.
So,
And hopefully pin them on a crime.
yeah, essentially.
How many times have you been stopped with open containers? Stop and frisk.
Yeah.
Because I have old coworkers who are
5
black,
times before I was 21.
and they live in areas of the city which is not the nicest, and they've told me stories. Like I'm very sympathetic with them. Like they've told me stories where one of them was just literally walking through a park. It was like 9 o'clock at night. He was walking through a park just because it was quicker to get to his apartment. And a cop's like, "What are you doing here? Like, it's closed." I was just walking.
What
along.
nationality is he?
He's black.
Mhm.
He's a black guy.
Yeah, of course.
They,
That's the racial profile.
They're, searching him up and down, stuff like that. So unnecessarily.
See, I feel like that stems from the police academy. Is like the tests. They're not really looking for the right things. That's what it.
The police
I
academy
wouldn't-
are looking for drones. They're looking for slaves that will follow orders. They're not looking for intelligent people. They do not take intelligent people for a specific reason.
Right.
If you are very intelligent,
It's mostly physical.
they're like
Controversial topic today. You heard what happened, right?
The cops. Yes.
Obviously,
yes.
we support cops. We're just
I-
talking about
I have
how
a lot
to
of
become
friends,
a cop.
a lot of friends and
Yeah, no,
family friends who are all cops.
That's how I know about
respect
the
their
test,
job.
because I have many friends that are cops. Yeah.
And I'm not saying anyone who's a cop is dumb. Like they're not dumb. They're just they don't like there are people who they don't want traits of like in the
Right.
police force. They don't want people who are, that would not necessarily that would disobey orders. Like like anyone who kind of has that like protest streak in them. They want people who will just do what they're told.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with doing that sometimes. Like people
Yeah.
have to be followers. Like and a lot of the policing is just following orders.
Right.
But
They gotta make it so it's not based on quotas and stuff.
oh
'cause
yeah,
it
that's
still
just
is.
corruption. That's just
Yeah.
straight. And a lot of cops do not like that.
Right.
I
No,
a
I
lot
know
of
they're
cops don't
against
like
it. Yeah.
they don't want to have to stop 25 people.
Mhm.
Like, write 10 tickets.
But they got
like,
the district telling them that's
oh
what
yeah,
they're
it's a
supposed
money
to-
revenue. It's a
yeah.
money making system. That's all it is.
It's all about money. A lot of politics is about money, right? Let's talk about lobbyists. You know about lobbyists?
Of course, I know what lobbyists are.
Okay. Explain to my viewers. You could probably do a better job than me.
A lobbyist is someone who usually works for an interest that wants the government to do something or not do something. So, like, let's just say a corporation, for example, that sells a product that Congress is about to pass legislation that would negatively impact them. What they would do is send this lobbyist to Congress to woo some congressmen and senators to vote in the favor of the interested party that sent them. Technically a lot of things are illegal, but there's so many loopholes with lobbyism. So they'll send them on vacations or whatever like that. Like, oh, just vote this way and we'll give you this, or we'll promise you this, or we'll donate this much money to your next campaign. It's just pretty much like paying for votes.
Right.
And
My friend's a water lobbyist.
well, lobbyism in general isn't necessarily negative. Like there are that shady
No,
lobbyism,
nothing against them,
and then there are
saying,
people who are legitimately just in Congress trying to talk to people. Like a lot of the nonprofits do that. But there is obviously definitely the shady corporate side where
Right. I feel like most nonprofits are stand up. But
I would think so. Yeah, most
when
of
it
them.
goes the other way, when you look at oil lobbyists,
Oh yeah, like
stuff
any kind of
that.
industry, any kind of industry and business that they want legislation passed or blocked.
It's where the views of the politician directly affect their business.
Yes.
Where, say, like, oil companies wouldn't want solar energy to skyrocket
Yes.
all across America right
Yes.
now. They'd lose a ton of money.
You
If
don't wanna-
every single house started to have solar panels, they'd
Yeah.
lose a shitload of money.
You don't want like you got like the electric cars, like that's competing with. The
I heard
combustion
that
engine
they
cars.
paid money to stop. There was a solar car, and I believe it was the 60s that they created that could run just off the sun hitting the roof. And the oil companies paid money to have the production halted on the car.
I believe that. That's something like that happened with New York. Look at New
There's a
York.
documentary, I believe it's called The First Electric Car. Check it out.
Okay, is it on Netflix?
I don't know. I use BitTorrent.
Oh, that's nice. Wanna make
Give out
that.
your credit card number so
Yeah.
our viewers can.
What was your social about voting again?
Only $1.99
companies,
each.
Companies did that. A lot of like the oil companies did that. Like if you look at transportation in the West Coast in like San Francisco, they have like the cable cars.
Yes, yes.
We used to have the cable cars in New York,
Mhm.
but it was the taxi industry that got rid of them.
I believe it was Seattle. Was it Seattle or Denver? But like the gas station, every gas station you went to had like 3
Electric chargers.
pumps where like you could just drive up, put your credit card in, and charge your car electrically at the gas station.
Yeah.
So now the gas stations are getting smart and improvising.
Oh, absolutely.
where,
That's free market.
We sell
That's
electric.
free market.
Yeah.
That's free market,
Free market.
ingenuity at its finest. Is
Mhm.
putting those electric chargers in, and I've actually never seen that. So, I mean, I know people who drive electric cars, but I've never seen anything like that.
Speaking on the amendments, is there one that you're like super?
How long ago was that?
Is there any amendment you're super passionate about?
Philosophically, the 10th Amendment, which is, I remember in 12th grade, Mr. Vigiano, the government teacher,
Oh, I love that
He
dude. Me and him are
called
boys.
it the "oh shit" amendment. He called it the "oh shit" amendment because
He
pretty much
supported
what
my
it-
rap career. He bought like 5 copies of my album. Go ahead.
The "oh shit"
He,
amendment.
oh my god. Yeah, the "oh shit" amendment, because what it does is that it clarifies that in the Constitution, the federal government has 18 enumerated powers. The assumption was that those are the only things they can do. The first 10 amendments of the Bill of Rights, they weren't getting passed. The Constitution wasn't getting passed unless those got passed too. And the idea is that the 10th Amendment pretty much reiterated that those 18 powers are the only things the government can do, the federal government can do. The rest that is not prohibited by anywhere in the Constitution is left up to the states. It is where the argument of federalism comes from. And that's like kind of like how I view the role of government. Like federal government should not exceed those 18 powers.
Right. See,
And they do. They do. So
I feel like
far,
state-
so far.
when it comes to state versus federal, it's just not, the system's not working. There's no way where, say for instance, in Colorado, you're allowed to drive around with 3 pounds of cannabis, but as soon as you cross an imaginary, invisible line, it becomes
Yeah.
a federal crime and a state crime where it was just legal. Like you were just completely fine. You cross an invisible line, like you're on a highway,
Yeah.
and now all of a sudden it's like,
Well, see,
oh no,
the
you
way it
can't
works-
have that.
The way it is that it would be, let's say Colorado has 100% legal. You can drive around with 3 pounds of it in your car.
Yes.
The moment you go over the state line and you're in Utah's next to it, and it's completely illegal, you really can't blame anyone for Utah police stopping. Ignorance is no excuse for the law. It's no excuse.
Yeah, but I mean, it's literally.
But
an
the idea with the
invisible line.
federal government, it is an invisible line. But you know what? That's the way it is. Like
Mhm.
that's how people separate each other. Saying
So you strongly believe in there should be state government.
absolutely. The way I think the more decentralized power is, the better. The way the federal government
I
gets
agree.
involved is
Yeah, I agree.
the way the federal government gets involved is kind of nuts. Like it does regulate interstate commerce, But the way it should be is that you let the states kind of figure it out. You almost just play like an arbiter. That's all it is. If there's a conflict, then you resolve it.
So the FBI, they're hired by the federal government.
The FBI is a federal government agency, yes.
Right. So now they're investigating Hillary about
Yes.
these emails.
Because it would be a federal crime.
Okay. How do you feel? They're saying that she had a personal email database, right? 30,000
I would
emails.
hope everyone has either
Personal
looked
email.
into this already or just doesn't care enough.
A lot of people
I'm
just-
saying like this is
I
dead
need
horse
you to
being beat.
speak on it because a lot of people are just blindly supporting one candidate or another. That's why I had you here for election week, the
Yeah.
week coming up to the election. I podcast every Friday, so this is the podcast before the election. And, like, so many people are just blindly supporting either Hillary or Trump. So, like, do you know the facts about the email scandal?
Yes. The idea that there was classified information on it and that she used the private server, which is illegal for the classified information because it's obviously vulnerable to being hacked.
Right.
And the FBI has stated that it's most likely been hacked or it could have been hacked. Like, it was very easy.
See, like, I worked for a defense contractor, and say I sent a blueprint through, like, an AOL AIM account. I worked for a defense contractor. Say I sent an email of a blueprint to conduct business through, like, AOL Instant Messenger, and, like, the president of the company found out. I'd be instantly fired. Like, I'm sending out blueprints of, like, the jets we're using in the war. And she's talking, I'd be instantly fired. So now, but she has all this money and all that stuff. So she's allowed to just talk about, was there, like, military stuff in those emails?
I mean, I assume they were classified. I never actually looked at what the emails were.
I think
But,
it was
like,
between
they-
her and Anthony Weiner.
Well, no, that's
pictures.
like
They
a
were
whole
just
nother-
sending dick pics. What am I
No.
talking about? They're just sending
The
dick
emails-
pics back and
Because
forth.
they said out of X amount of emails, there was only like I think like 100 that were even considered classified, and that like listen, I've been taking lessons on my liberal friends, like like I used to think like hanger, like but like some of it I'm like okay, like I don't think she should go to jail, but
You
like,
don't?
I
Okay.
don't think she should be arrested.
So it wasn't,
like, and
you
thrown in
think,
prison. I
was
think
it
there should be
breaching?
consequences, but
Okay. Was it breaching our well-being,
Like our
our
security?
security? Yeah, breaching our security.
I mean, they said like the FBI said it, like
That
it's
they
possible.
were.
Like it's possible that it was, but like and then you have to look at like who really is at fault because like they're saying that it wasn't properly labeled as classified, and that the stuff that was classified, classified, confidential. Oh.
That guy's a huge Trump supporter.
Okay, that's not true. I mean, that's not true. It had a C.
Why don't we just block that guy? He's so annoying.
Do you know him?
Friend of the show.
Oh, okay.
Just block him.
No, do
So-
you really know him?
Yeah, he's a big Trump supporter. How do you feel about Trump, though?
I would, gun in my head, I would vote for Hillary over Trump.
Really?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I
I wouldn't have invited you here. No, I'm joking. The show's
I am
unbiased.
I'm a Hillary supporter.
I
I'm a
hate
Shows
Hillary.
are-
I hate Hillary. I used to love Hillary Clinton back when I was a liberal. Back in
I'm
high
stuck
school.
here with two Hillary supporters. No, I'm joking.
But
I'm joking. I'm not voting.
I did
but,
like a complete 180, and
you
I
should
hate
vote,
Hillary
though.
Clinton.
This guy's not even registered.
I can't register due to my paranoia, but
No, I really hate Hillary, but I really am afraid of Trump.
okay.
That's how it is.
So now like we got the email issue. I'm happy you spoke on that, and now I feel there's a few Trump issues, but the biggest one recently was this famous quote, "Grab him by the pussy." Do you think candidates should be judged on something they
You
said
just
8
gotta like.
years ago? Shout out to whoever liked it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should be
Everything
judged.
should be judged about you.
Right,
I really
right.
think everything should be judged. But you have to take and I'm not downplaying what he
Thanks
says.
to
but
this-
not
It's
bad.
getting so crazy. I'm running in the park a few days ago, and I have my headphones and I'm listening to Pandora. It goes to a pro Hillary commercial, and it's just these crazy quotes by Trump.
Oh, it's
you
a
know,
negative
said by
ad. A
Trump.
negative ad.
Yeah, negative
okay.
ad about all these derogatory, terms toward women, and it's obviously horrible. But You know, like that. It's come down to this where they're literally just throwing these things in people's faces, in my ear. You know, to try to sway me one way if I'm on the line.
You know,
with the other candidates.
another issue is that
Thanks to this podcast, I guess I'll never become president now. No, okay. No, I haven't said anything too crazy.
I mean, when you look
FEMA
at
camps are real.
they're almost every president in history. I can confidently say that like probably at least half of them have acted like Trump. Like you look at JFK,
Right. Oh,
who
yeah,
snuck
yeah.
women into the White House to fuck them. Like,
How do you
look at
feel about the Kennedy assassination? You think it was one shooter?
Yeah, I believe it was one shooter.
One
I
shooter.
believe,
The
I
real
believe it
story?
was Lee Harvey Oswald. I
One
believe,
shooter, two
I believe,
guns,
I
dog.
believe he did it for a reason, and that reason we will never know. I believe he did. I believe he was the soul killer. He did it. And the magic
Yeah, but-
bullet theory
oh.
has been debunked.
You
by
took
my boys.
the words
My
out of my
boys-
mouth.
My boys, Penn and Teller, have debunked it.
Penn and
Trust
Teller,
them.
they're comedians.
They're magicians, but they're also libertarians.
Were those the guys? Were those
Anarcho-capitalists
the
or
guys?
something.
Were they the ones that worked at the border control and they were shooting the Mexicans or something like that? Did they debunk?
Oh no, they debunked,
Oh,
they debunked
yeah.
the wall.
They
Oh,
debunked
the wall.
They were
They-
just a bunch of
The
crazy
wall
guys.
just got 3 feet higher.
Their name was Patton Heller. That was the guy's name. He was just shooting Mexicans, trying to debunk that magic bullet theory.
You don't agree with the wall?
No, it's such a waste of money. I'm telling you right now, Penn and Teller debunked it. It's a waste of
They
freaking
debunked
money.
the wall, the
They
physical,
debunked that
the actual
wall
physical
does not
wall.
work because what they did was they paid like 6 Mexicans to build the exact the replica of what the model of the wall is, and then it took them like all day. It took them like a whole 24-hour span to like build the entire wall. Like there's a section.
Lazy bastards.
And then what they did was they gave them 2 minutes to get through the wall. 2 had to go over, 2 had to go through, and 2 had to go under.
Oh, and they
all did it.
Oh wow! So
And they all did it.
So they literally debunked the
They
wall.
did. It doesn't.
I guess
fucking
they're
work.
a bunch of Hillary
It
supporters.
doesn't
It's
work.
wild. No, this election's so crazy. That's
You
why
hear
I'm
that,
like,
VD?
I'm really thankful.
Oh, he's V-Day.
He came on the show today.
Oh god.
Oh god. Friend of the show. If there's any you want to speak about anything that I haven't brought up yet?
You want to question us?
I want to question you guys. I mean, I want to know who would you would vote for Gary
who
Johnson?
would I vote for? Yeah, I would vote for Gary Johnson just because to prove a point that democracy should not be about just 2 parties. It's came down to 2 parties, and that's mostly because, like you were saying earlier, the general public is very stupid, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, it's really always been 2 parties since its inception. It just happens
It's
to
just
be
not
2 groups of
fair.
people banding together. It's an us versus them mentality.
Say like you like to drink a lot or something like I just
What are you
drink,
pointing to?
I just drink water.
There's nothing.
I
there.
just
There's
drink
nothing-
I just drink water. But say you like to drink a lot. Why would say there was only vodka and whiskey? Like I know a lot of girls that like tequila. Like you know what I'm saying? Two choices isn't enough.
Vote
Talk
tequila. I have no idea.
You know what
you're
I'm
talking
saying,
about.
though?
I do
Like-
understand. It's not just 2 choices. It shouldn't be.
It
Just 2
shouldn't
choices.
be, but that's what it's boiled down to.
But that's what happens. There's 2 monoliths emerge to face each other, and then what happens is they fracture from the sides, and that's where third parties come in. And third parties have come and replaced one of the 2 major parties, because we're in our 6th party system. The first one ended when there was only 1 party left. The Federalists died out. There was only the Democratic Republicans, which became the National Republicans.
So the Federalist was a party that
Federalist
did
was
exist.
a party that was John Adams, and essentially George Washington was a Federalist, but not in name. Like the party didn't exist. And they versed the Democratic Republicans, like Thomas Jefferson. That lasted for over 20 years, and then the Federalists just died out. Like the party just didn't stay afloat, and people were mostly Democratic Republicans, were National Republicans, called the Era of Good Feelings. And then what happened is a new party arose.
So in those elections, they were voting 4 different ways, right?
2.
Oh, I thought you said the Federalist was a party.
Yeah, the Federalists versus the Democratic Republicans. Those are the two
Democratic
first parties.
and Republicans were
Democratic
together back then.
Republicans, yes. It's
So they were one party back then.
They're just two different names, Republican and Democratic. Like they're just names combined. Like the Democratic Republic of Congo. Like those are just two names. Eventually, this party becomes
An elephant was fucking a donkey. I think that's how.
this
it went
Democratic Republican Party.
down. I think that's
The Democratic Republican Party becomes the what did I say it was? It becomes just essentially the Democratic Party. I think I said the National Republican.
And then the
I think
Republican
that was a
name
separate party,
came back later on.
Republican name came back. Just the Republican name came back in the 1850s when it was the Republican Party. When the Democratic Party was already just like a thing, it evolved into the Democratic Party.
Right.
And then there was like the Whigs, who opposed the Democratic
The
Party.
Whigs, like that was the name on the ballot.
The Whig Party. We had two presidents who were Whigs. The Whig Party. It was a.
Did they get that name from their actual hairstyle?
From England? Because there's the Tories and the Whigs. The people
They
who
all
support
wore
the
wigs
king.
back then.
Whigs
Those
means you
fucking
oppose. Whigs means you oppose like the.
How
the,
crazy.
The central authority figure, and it was Andrew Jackson who the Whigs were opposed to, so they formed the Whig Party.
Andrew Jackson.
Yeah,
He's a
horrible piece of
legend.
shit. Have you ever heard of the Trail of Tears? But
I just know he liked whiskey.
He liked whiskey and he had Travis here.
Sounds like an
yeah,
asshole.
he gave us the name because it made them all alcoholics now. Yeah.
So then,
He liked whiskey.
what happened to the Federalist Party?
It died out, and it kind of the way it works, people kind of move around, like demographics move around with parties and what they believe in, and a new party, the Whigs, arose. When
What year is this?
1828, I believe it was 1828 is when they ran. 1832.
It's crazy, like,
1832.
Our perception.
I don't remember.
Our perception of
It's like
that
around
seems
there.
like it was so long ago, but like people live to 100 years old now. That was only 3 people ago, if you think of it. The 1800s. That was like 3 generations ago. You know.
Well, I mean, not
Well,
really,
technically
but-
not, because like
That time
when you
period
go
was probably,
back,
like, 5 or
they weren't
6,
living
maybe
to
more.
100. You know, everyone was dying in their
60s,
60s
yeah.
in the 1800s.
Yeah.
But you know,
That
thanks
period
to
was
modern.
bad.
I mean,
medicine.
we didn't have any computers back then. Like what
No
course not.
computers,
no
no modern.
computers,
called a
like
book.
nothing. Yeah.
That's why a lot of people say that the Constitution shouldn't be applied to modern issues because the reality we're living in is so different from what they were living in
Well,
when they wrote the Constitution.
Like the issue is like when they bring up the Second Amendment, people say like the founders meant muskets,
Right, and now we have a sword.
And then, okay, well then
AR-15s.
the First Amendment
I
does
love
that
it.
not apply to the internet? Because now we have the internet, so we're allowed to ban the internet, free speech, so that's what it is.
That's the crazy thing is like I know that they've written a lot of literature trying to like regulate the internet, and
Who's they?
the
The
government.
eponymous they, like the man,
You know,
the Illuminati.
The Illuminati. No, but in third world countries, they straight up they put
it's
bans
censored.
on the
It's
internet.
censored.
Yeah.
like China and Iran.
That's what's scary though is the government could shut down the internet on us anytime that they want. Realistically,
I feel like that if they tried to do that, like the private world would be able to do it without the government. Like these people who built it weren't government employees.
right.
Like,
But they control everything now.
they do essentially control a lot of stuff, but I would think if that really ever fucking happened, like unless they were saying like gonna shoot us with a gun, like saying like you can't use the internet, like China or something like that.
But they could just block the service providers.
Well, like what I'm saying is like they wouldn't have control of it. It would be almost like Silk Roads, like the deep web.
Oh, so it's still emerged.
Yes,
even with
people
their
can get on the internet.
That's what's
in these
sick-
censored places.
yeah.
People can get on the internet. if
That's
they know
what's
how,
dope
like-
about technology is like, cause like I not me, a friend has always bootlegged video games.
Okay.
And you know,
What do you mean, like?
You do that all the time.
I download
Not
video games
me.
on my computer. Like,
Yeah,
on my,
yeah.
I do. I do
but
it all
even
the
like
time. Old
Xbox
ones.
games, it's possible.
Oh, I don't-
What's up,
allegedly.
Pedman? What's up, Pedman?
Allegedly. But anyway, so you know, through the years, like say like Microsoft or Mac, you know, they came out with technologies, obviously trying to block people from getting it for free. But
Well,
still, to this
I mean,
day,
it's
you
like
can
same
get
thing with, like,
all that
music.
content for free because the hackers are so smart that every time the corporations come out with a new block, say like, oh yeah, same thing with music, like oh now you can't download free music. Give them like the hackers 2 days at most tops. Every time they crack the code. They're like vigilantes
What was
of
I?
technology.
I think I was watching some sort of like talk shows, like skit on like Apple security, and how like they were like oh, like, you know, the guys who like updated security, they're like, oh fuck, like I have to like work constantly, like oh my god, the hackers are just behind us, like, which I think is like obviously like an over exaggeration, but I think that's like true.
It is true.
Like, you know, it's like everything. Well, there's nothing that's gonna be able to block everything.
right. So and now like the money isn't based on gold anymore. It's just all numbers in a computer. You ever feel like that the money system could
Don't
crash?
put Rich out of business.
Go buy some silver.
No, I think what you mean in terms of like
Kennedy silver dollars. Buy them.
I mean, I don't necessarily like banking is done online, but like there's always going to be like a hard copy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's just not.
You don't
gonna
think
be
it could all
updated
crash?
as quickly? Of course,
You
the bank-
obviously
of
know
course the
that
bank- there's definitely.
there's a lot of people
Have you watched
in the conspiracy
have you seen
community.
GoldenEye? Have you seen GoldenEye?
I played the video game
You
on
never
Nintendo
actually
64.
You know the story, the movie, the story.
I had to level 6.
Tell me about
James
it. Tell me
Bond,
about it.
James Bond GoldenEye. That was Pierce Brosnan's first GoldenEye back in 1995. First James Bond back in 1995. And what it was that GoldenEye was a satellite weapon that essentially released an EMP. And his whole Alex Trevelyan, Sean Bean's character, wanted to shoot it at London for them betraying his parents or something, in like the Russian Civil War or something. I don't know. But so it would like literally send the country and the world into financial ruin. So like I think like something like that could happen. Like, you know, like if there was some sort of magnetic EMP that just wiped all records of like financial statements. But banking necessarily can be done on paper. Like it's just more
Then we just
convenient
need a
to do it on.
suave guy in a black
It's just more
suit that's good with a
convenient
trigger.
and more stable to do it on like the, well, I guess more static is the word, like to do it like online because it's quick.
Right,
Like, you can
right.
communicate with people around the world and like, you know, currencies and stuff.
Mhm.
But I am not an economist.
Right, right.
I do usually.
So you don't know if the dollar is gonna crash?
I don't. I mean, they predict there's going to be a recession.
Do
There's
you-
going to be a recession in the next president's term.
Right.
Like there's
do
going
you
to be.
do you invest in the stock market?
No,
No.
I don't know enough about it.
Okay.
I don't trust, like, you know, my knowledge of trends. I don't know anything
Right,
about that
right.
stuff. So
Yeah, no, I was gonna ask you like, cause you know every day it's like up, it's down.
yeah, like I
what's
mean,
it, what's it
I've
based
got a
upon?
401k.
I'm gonna
but
get
that's about
someone
it.
in
Oh,
here to
I mean-
find out what
well, I
it's
mean, like
based
it's
on.
about like
I mean, I invest. I don't know what it's based upon, but you know.
I mean, there's a lot of factors that play into like what company stock goes up and down, like, you know, business decisions and stuff like that. And it's about like, you know, what's like confidence, I guess, in the market and stuff like that. Like, you know, like investors and stuff like that. Like, oh, I'm gonna buy the stock. If people want to buy the stock, it's gonna go up. But if people don't want to buy the stock because of something that happened,
Right.
that's
No, I was gonna ask you about like insider trading and all that stuff, but I
I
mean,
mean, I know as much as anyone else.
right. It's just crazy that like, you know, say, you work at a company that's on the stock exchange, and you tell me like, oh, a brand new product's gonna come out in
Blue collar.
a
So you're
brand
saying like the
a brand
Wall
new
Street.
a brand new product's gonna
Sure.
come out in 5 months. I buy a ton of stock. I wouldn't get arrested, but that's technically insider trading.
Yes, technically is.
And some people get arrested for it.
Yeah.
Some people don't. Like
Like
it's
Martha
just-
Stewart.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what's Wall.
Rest
That's
in
what the movie
peace.
Wall Street's about. Rest in peace.
I've never seen that movie. I
Wall
gotta
Street
check it
with
out.
Charlie Sheen and Michael Douglas.
I'm a big Charlie Sheen fan.
This was like this is in the
Pre-
80s.
Before all that news broke that he's a nutcase.
Yeah, it was like in the 80s. It's a really good movie. It's about insider trading. Like, Charlie Sheen wants to be like a stockbroker. Michael Douglas mentors him. Charlie Sheen's dad works for like some airline company, and he tells
I'm surprised I haven't seen it. I've seen a lot
he
of
knows
old
like
school
something
movies.
that's gonna happen, and he tells Michael Douglas. He's like, my dad told me this is like, you know, going on at this company. Charlie Sheen tells Michael Douglas, and so Michael Douglas is like, all right, he's like, let's do something about this. So they, you know, I think buy it out or something like that, and then he's like, he's going to destroy the company. He's like a, what do they call them, like predators, like business, you know,
Right.
they just buy up companies just to dissolve them, make money. That's what he was trying to do, and so Charlie Sheen turned his back on him and went to the government saying like, oh, like, listen, like, I told him insider information. He went to jail willingly, you know, because of that. So
Right.
Charlie Sheen was at the Game 7 of the World Series, actually. They
Was
kept
he?
flashing all the celebrities. I don't know if you noticed, but they called him. He just did a bump of coke. Like, they literally. He
Right
just,
on
like,
camera.
Right
That
on
guy's a
camera.
savage.
They were doing.
Speaking of
They had to
movies,
get off
though,
of him real quick.
I like to speak about the arts on this podcast. What are some of your favorite movies?
my favorite movie is The Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers.
You're a big Lord of the Rings
I
guy.
am a
Respect, I like
huge.
Yeah.
I like a lot of movies, like
The
from
3D
everything.
animation, that's not the right word. What do they call it where it's computer generated?
CGI.
Yeah, CGI. I love CGI. Like, when it's done real artistically like that.
I
Lord
would
of the
say
Rings
that the
is
Lord of the
like,
Rings
yeah.
trilogy is probably one of the most masterfully done CGI.
Yes, exactly.
Like,
And technology is just getting better and better. That's the crazy thing about technology, is just
They have Lord
keeps
of the Rings at
increasing
Comic-Con?
year by year.
They have like a booth. Like there's a organization called the OneRing.net, and they have like a booth there because they're like the endorsed one by like Peter Jackson, who made the film. So
Yeah.
like, you know, they're like they're a fan group, so they had like stuff to buy. But there was no like, there's nothing new with
Nothing
Lord of the
too
Rings.
big,
So
yeah.
like when the Hobbits were coming out, like they had a lot of stuff.
Star
in that.
Wars must have been huge there.
Oh
With the new movie.
gosh.
I heard there's another new movie coming, right? There was just
Star
a
Wars?
new one. Yeah.
Yeah, in December.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Rogue One.
They're
Star
banging
Wars
these
story.
things out again. I haven't even
They
seen
need
the
to
last
milk
new
this
one.
puppy. They need to milk this puppy dry. I want to see every Star Wars movie they make. I don't care. I don't care.
You've always liked Star Wars.
I love Star Wars. Yeah,
I've only watched the first 3.
like the ones that came out in like 1999.
Exactly.
You've never seen
I have the
the original trilogy?
VHS
Are you
ones
serious?
actually. I have the VHS is in a
I
box
have
right
right on Blu-ray
over
if
it.
you want them.
Let's throw them
I
in.
got
We'll watch it with
Michael
the-
Jackson
watch it with the
Michael
viewer.
Jackson Thriller on VHS. I watched it every day as a child.
Oh, God.
So you know the dance?
No. But,
Oh, shit.
let's see what other
Crossbow, what the
arts.
hell?
Oh.
See, this is the.
Oh,
secret.
Oh, we weren't supposed to show that on camera. That's not mine. That's someone's supposed
It's a
to
nice.
come pick
It's a
that
nice
up.
medieval replica.
That's not mine. Stop. That's not mine either. So anyway, are you into music?
I mean, I like music, but I.
You have any like indie artists that you're big on?
Indie artists? Absolutely not.
No.
No.
Okay.
Like I said, like I like music, I'll listen to it, but I'm not like I don't follow them around or anything. Like,
Okay.
you know, I'll just listen to it whenever it comes out.
All right. So, is there anything you want to plug?
What does that even mean?
You know, like
promote anything that's coming up.
Plug? Oh.
If you want to run for any, political office, that we
No,
can
I
boost you
mean-
off with.
Like political. I mean, like I am because I told you I ran for school board,
Yep.
and like
Mhm.
there's a lot of stuff going on with the school board this year, so I'm actually like looking at it again.
Okay.
Awesome.
So that might be a thing in the future.
Vote
Yeah,
for
let me
Foils,
know.
vote
I'd
for
love to have
Foils.
you
That
back
might be a
on. We could
thing.
discuss the local issues and stuff. that
Yeah,
are going on.
definitely.
Rob,
Even
also-
if I don't, like I will definitely come and discuss that stuff. Like, you know. our-
Yeah, dude,
Town
we'll
of
definitely
Lyndhurst,
we'll have you
Town
back
of
on the
Lyndhurst,
show.
yeah.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Also, if you want to plug your Twitter or anything like that.
I actually deleted my Twitter.
Did you?
I deleted Twitter.
Why'd you do that?
About 2 months ago. I did not use Twitter
You
anymore.
freak.
Okay.
I can watch
You're
the episodes of
unplugging.
South Park.
You
like,
still have
on Twitter.
Instagram, though,
I do have an
right?
Instagram,
Yeah.
but I barely use it. I like it to like look at what other people post on Instagram.
That's cool.
No one has anything interesting to say on Twitter, so not anymore.
You have anything, Nick, that you wanted to ask our guest as we're wrapping up here?
No, I mean, thank you for coming, Rob. As always, it's a
Oh, it
great
was
pleasure.
Pleasure having you on the show. We'll
Yeah,
have you
definitely
back
a
for
pleasure.
sure.
Next
all right,
week
so-
we have
No,
our buddy Doug.
so,
He'll be coming.
there might be a serial number on there.
Oh my
So,
Our buddy Doug will be coming down talking guns.
You wanna put
Fucking crossbows.
you wanna put a prediction in for who's gonna win this election?
Hillary Clinton's going to win the election. I will know that for a fact. What I forgot to mention that if you vote in a state that's going to vote one way, the always way it does, New York, Texas, California, those always go the same way. If you're not in a battleground state, I would beg you to vote for Gary Johnson.
Right. See, I'm saying vote third party just because this system clearly isn't working. When it boils down to a reality star versus someone who's literally under FBI investigation, the two-party system isn't working anymore. Vote third party, expand the horizons.
I just want to say the whole point is not. If I'm realistic, I know Gary Johnson's not going to win. I want the Libertarian Party to get 5% of the popular vote, because then they will be eligible for general election funds from one of those private organizations, which would quadruple what he raised in his entire election this year. So it would make ballot access very much easier for a third party to be really competitive next election.
Right.
So it's about the future.
And I feel like
that.
people need that, as we speak about earlier, the way the debates work. It's just not fair. If Gary Johnson was on the national debate, more people...
He probably would jump 10 points in the polls.
Oh, exactly. He'd easily get 15%. I feel
Easily.
like.
Easily.
So,
Yep.
you have any idea how that could be changed?
The Committee on Presidential Debates needs to listen to the people. They need...
So,
they make
if he has 5% in the big election... it would be looked into the debating system?
The debate's done. Like,
what it is for the next election.
He'll get the money. The party will get the money for the next election. The next candidate they put forward will have a lot more money to work with in terms of advertisement, getting their name out there, so that people will be like, oh, like, look, there's this candidate, like, you know, because we have the money to spend on ads and stuff like that. So they will have more exposure in the next election, thus more likely to get to that 15% mark for the debates, and then they'll eventually, you know, it's trying to break that cycle. That's what we're trying to do in a gradual way.
Since we're campaigning, you want to say any last positive things about Gary Johnson? Oh, actually, let's speak about the viral video.
That's an old video.
That is
totally an
so
old
many
video.
people. All right, so for people that don't know what we're talking about, a lady says that you're 5 times more likely to have a heart attack if you use cannabis, which is entirely false. If you look at
some sort of health
every
form or
medical,
whatever,
look at all the medical records, it's entirely false. And so she's saying they're on a board council type talk show.
It's like some sort of
thing.
forum. They're on a dais, and
so she's probably Republican, and
I don't know what she is. She could be anything.
There might be a Democrat in the middle. Then you have Gary Johnson. This lady says the false fact. She's like, if you use cannabis, you're 5 times more likely to get a heart attack. He literally falls out of his chair laughing.
He acts like
he pretends he has a heart attack because it's not true.
Yeah, it's completely false. So that video went viral.
Because he's an avid marijuana smoker.
You said it's an old video.
It's pretty old. Like, I mean, I don't know how old, but I've definitely seen it within the last year.
Right, okay.
But yeah, no, like,
it's just been brought
he's a pretty good troll.
I saw so many shares.
He's a pretty good troll. He's a pretty good troll.
He was on the Joe Rogan podcast. Did you see that episode?
No, but I saw him on
hilarious.
Bill Maher.
Oh, did you? I have to check that out. I haven't seen that. Any last words on Gary Johnson?
Yeah, I'm saying, listen, he is definitely the least worst of them all. Like, you know, he gets a lot of crap from the libertarians, let alone everyone else. But he is a very smart man. He's very sensible, very rational. If you just, like, look at his ideas, like, you know, they're not crazy as anyone would want to make them seem like they are. You know, it's just, I want him to kind of help the Libertarian Party for the future. And that's what he's trying to do. And that's what he's trying to do. And I want other people to, like, kind of, this is your chance to make a statement.
Right.
And that's what it is.
Thank you for coming on the show.
5%.
I really
people.
appreciate
Let's get 5%.
5%.
Thank you to come on the show, man. Till next week.